Let me ask you something personal. When you stepped out of bed this morning, was there a moment of hesitation before your feet hit the floor? That split second where you braced yourself for the stiffness in your knees, the ache in your hips, the sharp complaint from your lower back? Maybe you've been taking calcium supplements for months. Maybe you drink milk every day. Maybe you even take honey every morning because someone told you it was good for your bones. And yet, something still doesn't feel right. Your joints still ache. Your body still feels older than it should. Here's what I need to tell you, and I want you to hear this carefully. The calcium you're taking may be working against you. Not because calcium is bad, but because of what you're mixing it with, and specifically, because of one common ingredient that millions of people combine with honey every day that actively prevents calcium from ever reaching your bones. It redirects it into your bloodstream, into your blood vessel walls, anywhere but where it's needed. Stay with me, because what I'm about to explain might be the reason your bones have been losing density even while you thought you were protecting them. Most people over 60 believe this about bone health. Take calcium, drink milk, maybe take a vitamin D supplement. That's the formula. That's all there is to it. I believed that too, early in my career. But here's what those simple recommendations miss entirely. Calcium doesn't go where you tell it to go. You swallow a calcium supplement. It enters your bloodstream. And then, for most people over 60, it gets lost. It floats through the blood without direction. Most of it gets filtered out by the kidneys and leaves the body in urine. And the portion that doesn't leave, here's the part that genuinely disturbs me, often ends up deposited inside blood vessel walls, hardening them, stiffening them, making them less elastic, the exact opposite of what you need for cardiovascular health. So you're trying to strengthen your bones, and in the process, you're slowly calcifying your arteries. Calcium in the wrong place is not just ineffective, it's creating a different problem entirely. And the ingredient I want to talk to you about today is making this problem significantly worse every single day for millions of older adults who have no idea it's happening. My name is Dr. Ben Bates. I've spent over 20 years in preventive medicine, focused specifically on protecting the health of adults over 60. I've worked with rheumatologists, orthopedic specialists, and cardiologists. I've reviewed patient histories where bone density continued declining despite years of calcium supplementation. And when I traced the pattern, when I looked carefully at what these patients were doing daily, the same combination kept appearing, the same ingredient, mixed with honey, every single morning. Today I'm going to show you exactly what it is, why it causes the damage it causes, and what to replace it with instead. A combination so powerful in its simplicity that the change it creates in bone density is measurable. Now, the ingredient itself will surprise you. It's not something you'd think to avoid. In fact, you've probably been told it's good for you. Stay with me for that one. It's the most important part. Before I get to the specific ingredient, I want you to understand something fundamental about how calcium actually works in the body after 60. Because once you see this clearly, everything else will make perfect sense. Think of your bones as a savings account. From birth through your mid-30s, you're making deposits. Your body is building bone density faster than it breaks down. After about 35, that reverses. The body starts making more withdrawals than deposits. By 60, 65, 70, the withdrawal rate has accelerated significantly, and the deposits are getting harder and harder to make. Now here's the critical question. Why is the body having such difficulty making deposits? Most people assume it's simply a lack of calcium, so they take more calcium. And the problem doesn't improve. Here's what's actually happening. Calcium cannot deposit itself into bone tissue without a specific biological key. That key is a compound called boron. Boron is a trace mineral, present in certain natural foods, that does three remarkable things. First, it acts like a doorman at the entrance of your kidneys. When calcium tries to leave the body through urine, boron physically slows that exit. It keeps calcium in the bloodstream long enough to be directed toward bone tissue. Second, boron supports the hormonal environment that allows calcium to actually attach to bone cells. Without the right hormonal signals, specifically estrogen in women and testosterone in men, both of which decline significantly after 60, calcium floats past bone tissue without bonding to it. Boron helps maintain those signals. Third, Boron reduces the chronic low-level inflammation inside bone tissue that accelerates the breakdown of existing bone structure. Raw honey contains boron naturally. This is why honey, real, raw, unprocessed honey, has a genuine and measurable connection to bone health. It's not folklore, it's biochemistry. But here's where everything goes wrong. When people combine honey with a specific ingredient, an ingredient that millions of Americans consume daily, the boron in the honey is neutralized. Its ability to keep calcium in the body and direct it to bones is chemically disrupted. And instead of the calcium reaching bone tissue, it ends up exactly where I described earlier, circulating in the blood, depositing in vessel walls, leaving the body in urine. The ingredient that causes this disruption is sugar. Specifically, refined sugar added to honey. Or worse, using processed honey that already contains added sugar. Or combining real honey with sugary drinks, sweetened teas, or fruit juices that have high fructose content. Here's the mechanism. When refined sugar enters the bloodstream, it triggers a significant spike in insulin. Insulin, in the presence of rising blood sugar, activates the kidneys to increase urine output. That accelerated urine output flushes calcium out of the body at a dramatically higher rate than normal. Studies have shown that high sugar intake can increase urinary calcium excretion by 40 to 50%. Not a small increase, nearly double the normal loss. So you mix honey into your morning orange juice, or into your sweetened tea, or you buy processed honey with added corn syrup, which is sold in every grocery store, and you stir it into warm water with lemon and a teaspoon of sugar. And the boron that was supposed to protect your calcium is working against a current of sugar-driven calcium loss that it cannot overcome. Every morning, every day, for years. And your bones show it. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Clarence. 73 years old, retired mail carrier, active man his whole life. He came to me after his doctor told him his bone density scan showed osteopenia, the stage just before full osteoporosis. He was shocked. He'd been taking a calcium supplement every day for 4 years. Every morning, the same routine. Large glass of orange juice, calcium supplement, 2 teaspoons of store-bought honey stirred in. He thought he was doing everything right. When I looked at his routine carefully, I saw exactly what was happening. The orange juice, high in natural fructose and sugar, was triggering significant calcium excretion with every morning dose. The store-bought honey, when I asked him to bring the bottle in, had glucose syrup listed in the ingredients. It was processed. The boron content was negligible. He was essentially neutralizing any benefit from his calcium supplement every single morning, before the supplement even had a chance to work. We made 2 specific changes. We removed the orange juice completely from his morning routine. We replaced the processed honey with raw, unfiltered honey from a local source, crystallized, dark, clearly unprocessed. And we added one more element, which I'm going to explain to you in detail in a moment. That made the combination genuinely powerful. 6 months later, his follow-up bone density scan showed stabilization for the first time in 4 years. His doctor called it encouraging. Clarence called it a relief. He told me I was doing the right things the wrong way. That's exactly right, and it happens constantly to people who are genuinely trying to protect their health. Now let me tell you about the combination that actually works. The pairing I recommend to patients over 60 who want to give their bones every possible advantage and who want their calcium to actually land where it belongs is raw honey combined with black sesame seeds. I want to explain why this specific combination is so powerful. Black sesame seeds have one of the highest calcium concentrations of any food available. Per gram of weight, they contain roughly 10 times more calcium than milk. 10 times. When a patient tells me they can't tolerate dairy, or that milk upsets their stomach, which is extremely common after 60, black sesame seeds are the answer I've been recommending for years. But the calcium content alone is not what makes them exceptional. Black sesame seeds also contain significant amounts of zinc and magnesium. Here's why that matters. Calcium is the raw material of bone, but zinc and magnesium are the construction crew. Zinc activates the cells responsible for building new bone tissue. Without zinc, bone-building cells work at reduced efficiency. Magnesium regulates how calcium is transported into bone cells. It's essentially the traffic control system that directs calcium to the right location once it arrives in the bloodstream. When these three minerals arrive together, calcium, zinc, and magnesium, in the right ratios, the bone-building process becomes dramatically more efficient than with calcium alone. And now add raw honey to that combination. The boron in the honey keeps the calcium from leaving through the kidneys. The honey's anti-inflammatory compounds reduce bone tissue inflammation. The honey's natural enzymes improve mineral absorption across the intestinal lining. What you have is a combination where every element is specifically supporting the action of every other element. This is not a supplement. This is food working the way food was designed to work. Now let me walk you through exactly how to prepare and use this combination, because the details matter. The wrong preparation reduces the benefit. The right preparation maximizes it. Choosing the right honey. Not all honey is equal. And this is where most people make the first mistake. Processed honey, the kind sold in squeeze bottles, perfectly clear, perfectly liquid, never crystallizing, has been heat-treated to extend shelf life and improve appearance. That heat treatment destroys the enzymes and significantly reduces the boron content. What's left is primarily sugar. It will not do what I'm describing. What you want is raw, unfiltered honey, dark in color, thick, possibly crystallized. The crystallization is not a defect. It's evidence that the honey is real. Look for honey where the label says raw and unfiltered. Locally sourced honey from a farmer's market is often more reliably unprocessed than commercial options. Buckwheat honey, dark, strongly flavored, has the highest mineral content of any common honey variety. If bone health is your priority, buckwheat honey is worth seeking out. Choosing the right sesame seeds. Black sesame seeds, not white sesame seeds. The black variety contains significantly higher concentrations of the minerals I've described. They must be toasted, not raw. Raw black sesame seeds have a tough outer shell that the digestive system cannot break down efficiently. The calcium and minerals pass through unabsorbed. Toasted black sesame seeds, or better yet, ground toasted black sesame seeds, release their mineral content fully for absorption. You can find pre-toasted black sesame seeds at most Asian grocery stores, health food stores, or online. If you buy raw, toast them yourself in a dry pan on low heat for 2 to 3 minutes until fragrant. Then grind them. A small coffee grinder works perfectly, or a mortar and pestle if you prefer. Ground sesame releases its minerals into the digestive tract far more completely than whole seeds. The preparation: 1 level tablespoon of raw honey, 1 to 2 tablespoons of ground toasted black sesame seeds. Mix them together in a small bowl until combined into a thick paste. Take it with 1 teaspoon of raw apple cider vinegar dissolved in a small glass of warm water, about 4 ounces, on the side. Why the apple cider vinegar? Calcium absorption requires an acidic environment in the stomach. As we age, stomach acid production decreases significantly, which is one of the overlooked reasons calcium absorption declines after 60. A small amount of apple cider vinegar restores the acidic environment that maximizes calcium absorption from the sesame seeds. It takes 30 seconds to prepare, and it makes a meaningful difference. When to take it? First thing in the morning, on an empty stomach. On an empty stomach, absorption is at its highest. There are no competing foods, no digestive interference. The minerals from the sesame go directly into processing. Wait 20 minutes before eating breakfast. Alternatively, for those who find morning preparation difficult, 1 hour before bed is the second best option. During sleep, the body performs its bone maintenance and repair. Having the mineral supply available in the bloodstream during that window supports the process directly. Do not take it with fruit juice. Do not add sugar. Do not mix it into sweetened tea. The sugar disruption I described earlier will undo the benefit. Plain warm water or the apple cider vinegar preparation only. Now let me address something I know is on your mind. If you have diabetes, or if you're monitoring blood sugar carefully, I want to give you a specific adjustment. The honey portion concerns many diabetic patients, and that concern is valid. Here's what I recommend. Reduce the honey to half a teaspoon, and add 1 tablespoon of finely ground raw almonds to the mixture. The healthy fats and fiber in almonds slow the absorption of the honey's natural sugars significantly. They buffer the blood sugar impact while preserving the enzymatic and boron benefit of the honey. The almond addition also adds magnesium, reinforcing the mineral matrix even further. Half a teaspoon of honey, 1 tablespoon of ground sesame, 1 tablespoon of ground almond. Same preparation, same timing. This version is appropriate for most people managing type 2 diabetes. But please discuss any dietary changes with your own physician before making them a daily practice. Let me tell you about a patient I'll call Margaret, 78 years old, retired librarian. Careful, methodical woman. She came to me 2 years ago, deeply discouraged. She had been diagnosed with osteoporosis at 74. She had taken prescription bone medication for 2 years, stopped due to side effects, and had been managing with calcium supplements and vitamin D since then. Her most recent scan showed continued decline. She described her morning routine to me: a bowl of oatmeal with commercial honey drizzled on top, a glass of calcium-fortified orange juice, and her vitamin D supplement. Everything she was doing was aimed at her bones, and nothing was working. When I explained the calcium displacement caused by the juice's sugar content, when I showed her that the commercial honey she was using had glucose syrup as a second ingredient, she was quiet for a long time. "I've been fighting against myself," she finally said. "We removed the orange juice entirely. We replaced the commercial honey with raw buckwheat honey. We introduced ground toasted black sesame seeds into her morning routine. We added the apple cider vinegar preparation. She committed to it completely, every morning, without fail. At her 4-month check-in, her rheumatologist noted that her bone loss markers had slowed significantly, the first time in 3 years that the numbers had moved in a positive direction. At 8 months, her density scan showed the first measurable improvement she had seen since her initial diagnosis. Her doctor was cautious but acknowledged the change. Margaret told me, "For the first time in years, I feel like I'm actually building something, not just losing it." That shift in direction, from loss to stability to recovery, is what this combination makes possible. Not overnight, not dramatically, but consistently, measurably, over time. Let me be honest with you about what to expect and when. In the first week, you likely won't feel different in your bones. Bone metabolism is slow. It doesn't announce itself the way blood pressure or energy does. But something else may shift. Several patients have told me that their joint aching, the morning stiffness, the knee discomfort on stairs, improved within the first 2 weeks. That's not coincidental. The anti-inflammatory compounds in raw honey and black sesame begin reducing inflammation in joint tissue quickly, within days. The bone rebuilding itself takes longer. By the end of the first month, the magnesium from the sesame seeds often begins expressing itself in better sleep quality, reduced muscle cramping, and a sense of physical steadiness that's difficult to describe, but patients notice clearly. By 2 to 3 months, the combination of reduced calcium loss, improved mineral delivery to bone tissue, and reduced bone inflammation creates the conditions for measurable density improvement. This is a long-term investment, not a quick fix. But the alternative, continuing to lose bone density year after year while believing you're doing everything right, is not acceptable to me as your doctor, and it shouldn't be acceptable to you. Let me give you the critical mistakes to avoid, because getting this wrong undermines everything. Mistake 1, using processed honey. Processed honey is essentially sugar with a natural label. It does not contain meaningful boron. It will not keep calcium in your body. It will not direct minerals to your bones. Check the label. If it lists glucose syrup, corn syrup, or any other sweetener, put it back. Mistake 2, using whole, unground sesame seeds. Whole sesame seeds look like sesame seeds when they come out. The shell is not broken down by digestion. The calcium never enters your bloodstream. You must grind them, every time. Mistake 3, taking it with anything sugary, juice, sweet tea, sweetened coffee, anything with added sugar. The calcium displacement effect is immediate and significant. Warm water only, or the apple cider vinegar preparation. Mistake 4, inconsistency. Bone metabolism is driven by what you do every day for months. 3 days on, 2 days off, forget for a week. The cumulative benefit never builds. Pick a time. Make it a ritual. Same time, every morning. The consistency is more important than the perfection. Mistake 5. Expecting quick results in the bones and stopping early. The inflammation relief comes quickly. The joint comfort improvement comes relatively quickly. The bone density change is measured in months. Don't stop at 3 weeks because you haven't had a scan. The work is happening. Give it time to show up in the numbers. I want to bring this together for you clearly. The mistake that ages bones quickly when combined with honey, refined sugar, in any form, that displaces calcium from the body, neutralizes the bone-protecting compounds in honey, and redirects calcium away from bone tissue and into bloodstream accumulation. The replacement that actively rebuilds bone, raw unfiltered honey, specifically buckwheat or dark raw varieties, combined with ground toasted black sesame seeds, taken on an empty stomach with a small amount of apple cider vinegar in warm water, every morning, consistently, over months. That combination keeps calcium in the body longer, delivers calcium together with zinc and magnesium, creates the right environment for calcium to bond to bone tissue, reduces bone inflammation, and supports the hormonal environment that bone health depends on after 60. Your bones are not finished. I want you to hear that clearly. Bone tissue is living tissue. It is constantly remodeling, breaking down old tissue and building new. Even at 70, even at 75, even if you've been told your osteoporosis is progressing. The process of bone breakdown can be slowed. In many cases, with the right conditions, it can be reversed. The body responds to what you give it. For years, you may have been giving it calcium in the presence of the exact ingredient that prevents that calcium from doing its job. That changes today, not with a prescription, not with an expensive procedure, with a tablespoon of real honey and 2 tablespoons of ground sesame seeds every morning. Your bones are worth that 2 minutes. I want to hear from you. Do you feel the morning stiffness I described at the beginning of this video? Type yes in the comments if you recognized yourself in that description, and come back in 30 days. Tell me what shifted. If this video gave you something genuinely useful, if it explains something you've been living with for years, please share it. There is someone in your life right now who is taking calcium every day and watching their bones decline without understanding why. One share might be the most important thing you do for their health this week. Subscribe if you haven't already, because every week I bring you the specific, honest conversations about protecting your health after 60 that rarely happen anywhere else. Take care of those bones. Take care of yourself. Starting this morning. Everything in this video is general medical information based on published research and clinical experience. It is not a substitute for your personal medical care. Please speak with your physician before making significant changes to your diet or supplementation, especially if you are managing osteoporosis, kidney disease, or diabetes.